It is not recreation or avoidance. Rather, play, as we'll define it here, provides an opening to engage more fully in everything we do and ultimately be more productive. Learning to play is one of the most important things we do as children, but we do it naturally and associate it with pleasure, and therefore it doesn't seem like work. There's a popular cliché among children's experts that casts play as the work of children. However, I challenge that because it sets up the two as diametrically opposite. I suggest they are no such thing, that play and work are essentially the same. You could say work is the play of adults, or I'm suggesting you might give it a try. Consider this. Both play and work are objective-driven and task-oriented. They have narratives, have conflicts, require ongoing problem-solving, are seldom linear, have specific processes, are prone to interruption, thrive on disequilibration, much more on what that is and how it shapes so much of life to come, and are ultimately reflections of the individuals involved. The only difference is that we believe that play is fun and that work is not, or should not be. So how did we get to this point where work is onerous and play, if you accept my premise that they share many of the same elements, is not? The answer is that it is cultural, and it goes back to the Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. Perhaps even further, every culture has its rites and traditions of passing from childhood into adulthood. But like any good thing, when it's taken to an extreme, it can become problematic. Yet a childhood that is largely leisure-based and protected from the adult world is a relatively new phenomenon. Whether in an agrarian or industrial world, child labor was essential, both as extra hands and to do things adults could not. Despite the work of reformers, writers, and pamphleteers, notably Charles Dickens, Coleridge, and others, children were essential to such industries as mining, chimney sweeping, furniture building, textile production, and many more just in Britain alone. With the institution of mandatory public education, which goes back only to the mid-19th century, machines that could do the work of small hands, and a growing understanding of the health impacts of child labor, more and more children were liberated from working. Fast forward to the 20th century, and what we call modern adolescence really began to take shape after the First World War and blossomed after the Second. Thus, the idea of childhood and youth as a carefree time without responsibility and the ability to indulge in play became part of today's culture. It is seen as a right of children. The prevailing attitude is, life is going to be hard enough. Let them enjoy being children. As so often happens, there are many who think that because something has been true in their lifetime, and potentially their parents', it has always been thus. That's just the way people are. And so the idea of childhood as a time of freedom without responsibility, with security, and without serious or long-lasting consequences for one's actions was born. Buried, not so deeply in this, is the notion that adulthood is challenging, difficult, and unpleasant, so it's a kindness to shield kids from it as long as possible. And that's what we do today, to a certain extent, in the United States. Before moving on from this, it must be noted that this is a particular phenomenon of the developed and comparatively affluent cultures. There are still parts of the world where children work and assume adult responsibilities from a very early age. But back in the privileged world, we have the oft-observed attitude that work is difficult and unpleasant, but it's necessary to make money, to provide for one's family and one's retirement, to shoulder all the responsibilities that Peter Pan so dreaded.